If they aren't depositing anything, they're depleting you. People who drain you, they gotta go. Let that absorb the entitlement trap. Didn't work for me. He gonna tell you what you need to be a hustler, and you definitely need heart. So why not bet on you? Okay, let's see what you're working with. I didn't want to set myself up to fail. No, 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 no. No more in 2024. Every celebrity cannot write a book, shouldn't write a book. I had to take the glasses off. It's so good. She got attitude. I am embarking on a new series that I set out for myself for this year, 2024, and this is the first part of it. So I wanted to challenge myself to read more in 2024. We always say we don't have time, but you all know we make time for what we deem is important. And sometimes we don't put ourselves in the forefront where we should. This year, I'm doing everything different than in previous years. I am listening to her more, listening to what she wants, what she needs. If it's rest, recovery, time off, whatever she needs, she gonna get in 2024. We are always taking care of everybody else, and we don't get that same. Not even from ourselves. Listen to a book. Being still for an hour or two, that's good. That is so needed and so good for the mind, the spirit, the soul. Up on the sofa and just read a good book. Sit outside and read a good book. Go to the beach and read a good book. I keep telling myself I don't have time, but I do. I gotta make it. Just like I make time for everybody else and to do everything else, why not make time for me? I embarked on this new journey of reading more in 2024. I didn't want to set myself up to fail, so I decided to do it in quarters. January, February, and March would be quarter one. I set out to read 2 books a month for quarter one. And guess what? I'm 9 books in. I made time not just for the 2, but I made time for extras. And each book gave me something. And that's what I want to share with you. This was an amazing journey. I'm enjoying it thus far. When an author that wrote the book actually reads it, no one is going to give you what the actual author can give you because it's their book. Got my glasses because we already know. So let's talk about January's books. The first of all the books I've read in this quarter, this is my favorite. For January, I read 3. The first one being Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Hustle harder, hustle smarter. Listen. And he narrated that book. I had to take the glasses off because listen, it was so good. So good. I mean, like, who would have thought? The book was amazing. I do have some notes that I'm going to share with you, which I call my takeaways. This was an 8-hour, 16-minute audio. Anything from like 8 to 10 hours, I'm usually done within 2 days. It was so good. It was so good. You have to go out and get this book. Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. This was supposedly a comeback about his tragic experiences throughout his life. Now, I didn't know that he had written a book. Well, I think I did, but I never read it. He had written a book that ended up being a best time seller called The 50th Law. From what I understand, it is like a prerequisite for this book because it tied into a lot of the law that he talked about. This one, however, was more personal about his journey and how he became so successful. He is one of cable's highest paid execs. You know why? Power, Force, Raising Canaan, Power Book 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and let's not forget BMF running right now, and it is so good. It's a self-help guide from his perspective of having to hustle. His story, which to me, everybody has a story, everybody has a journey, and how you get to that goal is not always going to be like the way somebody else got there. Doesn't mean theirs is right, yours is wrong, or vice versa. It just means that that was what you needed to get through to your journey. So I broke down the chapters that I felt stood out because, of course, I'm not going to give you all of it. You got to read the book. When you read any type of self-help book, you have to understand that everybody is going to take away something different. What I took away, what you take away, what he takes away, she takes away, something different because you're applying it to the journey that you're in now. On my perspective, you'll have your own. My purpose here is to get you to read the book. Read the book. It's really good. You don't believe me? Get the book and start with chapter 9. And if you're not sold by chapter 9, this probably ain't the book for you. When he wrote this book, it wasn't, you can tell by the artistry in the book. And I'm not talking about photos, I'm talking about the creativity on how he mastered the chapters, organization of where he chose to put the chapters in the book. Everybody that's a celebrity is writing books. I don't believe this book was written just for money. I write a book, you write a book, we want the money, right? We want the sales from it, right? But what I'm saying is that wasn't his sole purpose in this book. Do not mistake this book as a written book because he can. Like most celebrities, they write a book because they can, don't always mean it's a good book. I tried to read Jeezy's new book. What was it? Adversity for Sale. It was all over the place in the first chapter. Every celebrity cannot write a book, shouldn't write a book. I'm just saying. This book was so inspirational. I just wanted to read it because I liked the title, but it was so much more than the title. It was everything. He talked about how in the era that we live in, with the social media, that people or the younger generation, any generation, I should say that, anybody that's wanting to achieve success, how about that? It's so much more than strolls and clicks. You really got to get in and you got to do your research. When he talked about that, I already knew, okay, we on to something. It's about to be a good book. Another thing he said in the intro that caught my attention, he said, always bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself because you are going to win. I know that's something that you internally have to believe. Keep saying it. Bet on you. When you go out here and you work on these jobs, you betting on yourself to be able to do that job, right? So why not bet on you to win something that you want to achieve, a goal, a dream? Bet on yourself. He talked about that in the intro. So let's move on to chapter 1. Chapter 1's title was Finding Fearlessness. Baby, let me get my tea. Finding fearlessness. And we know, many of y'all lost it or never had it. Remember, I said the strategy, how he strategically placed these chapters. Oh, he knew what he was doing. Always thought him to be very brilliant. What he was saying was, comfort is a dream killer. And it's so true. When you get comfortable, you get complacent. And when you get complacent, you pretty much just not going to do anything. Because you're comfortable right where you are. You got to get uncomfortable to get things moving. That's so true. Don't allow yourself to get too comfortable in your fears. You got to move. You got to move past them. Quoting Will Smith. Yes, I'm going to quote Will Smith because I happen to still like him. So it is what it is, right? But I remember Will Smith saying how if you can just get past your fear and get to the other side, it's so much more on the other side, but you can't find out because you can't get past your fear. And that's not an easy challenge. And he talks about the fact that if you don't get past your fears and you stay comfortable and you stay complacent in that space, you zap your ambitions, you blind your visions. And I can tell you, he ain't lying. But he ain't lying, y'all. I only took notes on what stood out for me. Chapter 2, takeaway, called Heart of a Hustler. This is as simple as that. He's going to tell you what you need to be a hustler, and you definitely need heart. I'll read one of his quotes in this chapter. You'll never go too far if you need a crutch to go forward. What he meant this quote to mean is a little different from me. Remember, I said everybody's going to internalize it differently because you internalize it based on your experiences in life, your path, your walk. For me, what I took that to mean is that I'm not going to be working for you forever, helping you build your dream, helping you make money. I eventually want to build my own dreams. I want to work for myself as hard as I'm going to work for somebody else. So I took that to believe as long as you have that crutch, you're never going to move forward. For instance, you have a dream or a goal. You've got to step out on faith to pursue that. Sometimes those jobs be the crutch. I ain't telling nobody to leave their full-time job, part-time job, whatever you got going on, you got to do what's best for you. I'm not telling you to do that. For me, what I got out of that quote was the job being the crutch, and it's holding me back from moving forward to pursue my dreams and my aspirations and my goals. And sure enough, because when I left my 9 to 5, I was able to do so much more and pursue my dreams. What I'm going to give a job, I want to give myself that same attention, that same hard work, and that same effort that I would give somebody else to help them build their dreams and, glow up, blow up, get money, whatever. However, what he intended it to mean, I'm going to let you read about that when you get to chapter 2 in the book. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Chapter 4. The title of that was Knowing Your Value. Pretty much self-explanatory, right? However, he did go into talking about we have a misconception of the public, thinking that we should not be interacting with them. He was talking about how we misread the public a lot when we place value on the work that we do. For instance, book signings, pop-up shops, meet and greets. He talked about scheduling all of them in a smaller market. He said, because you still want to connect with your audiences. You want to connect with the people that love you. And the better way to do that is not by going on radio show to promote your book, not by going on the TV show to promote your book, because not everybody's watching that TV show. Not everybody's listening to the radio. Hardly anyone is listening to the radio. It's either Pandora and Spotify, satellite radio. They're not even listening to the regular radio. I thought that was a really clever idea. Talk about that with the cognac. When he promoted it, he went to a regular liquor store and people stood in line to meet with him. And while they were there, they bought his cognac. It was around the holidays, another strategic move. So they bought more than one, one for now, one for the holidays. It was just the way he strategized and talked about it was really, really brilliant. I'll tell you a little bit about my experience with that. One of my all-time favorite authors, Terry McMillan, you know her, Waiting to Exhale, Stella Got a Groove Back. Ever since I saw Waiting to Exhale, I have been obsessed. I follow her books. Well, recently she wrote a book and I saw the promotions on TV. She decided to do a meet and greet here in the Coachella Valley. Yes, she came here. Small venue, right out here. And I was the first to sign up for it. It was a meet and greet to talk about her book, to meet her, take a picture with her. You see, that's what 50 was talking about. Tap into your smaller markets. The people want to see you, they want to interact with you. They don't want to always hear about it somewhere else. The book has been out for at least, I want to say, a year. I got the book now, but it's been out for a year. She's one of my faves. I didn't get the book. I can't even tell you why I didn't get the book because I love her, absolutely love her. Part of it is just our lives, the way things are going. We have so much going on. We think about it and we want to do it, and then before we know it, 2 months went by, out of sight, out of mind. But the fact that she was coming here, I get to meet my favorite author of all times. I mean, get a photo with her, hear her read out of her book. Oh, yeah, 50 on to something because she got my money. The venue got my money. I get what he's saying. Let's talk about another part of the book that I thought was amazing. Chapter 5 was called Evolve or Die. The inspiration for the name of that title was because 50 felt if he wasn't unwilling or unable to evolve as an individual, that he might as well be dead. I'm going to read you a quote. Never settle. Keep repurposing your life. How many times have I said that? I mean, if you've been following me for a while, I've always said repurpose. Reinvention was big on social media, especially with the girlies reinventing their life, didn't work for me. Reinvention did not work for me. However, repurposing did. Sometimes everything you need, you already have. You either have it in you or it's part of you. You just have to repurpose it. You gotta move it around. Reinventing the wheel isn't always going to work. Some people say you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Well, you don't. You just have to repurpose what's already going on in your life, on your path, in your journey. And that's what I did. I repurposed what I was doing, how I was doing it, why I was doing it, because sometimes your why has to be recalibrated or, rethought, reworked, maybe a better word. My thoughts on that chapter of what I perceive, sometimes it's not always the goal, it's the trajectory, how you're getting to the goal that has to change. If you don't recognize that, you end up changing the goal. And sometimes that'll move you further back. If I could tell you anything, restructure the trajectory of how you're getting to the goal. Don't change the goal, change how you're getting to the goal. Chapter 9, that's where I told you to start if you didn't believe anything I was saying about how good this book is. The name of the chapter was, what is the name of the chapter? I don't even think, the name of the chapter is The Entitlement Trap. Do I need to say that again? The Entitlement Trap. We need to have a moment of silence to just let that sink in, let that absorb. The entitlement trap. Yeah, baby. He on to something with that one. How he started this chapter, he started it by telling you straight out, people who drain you, they gotta go. Period. That was my part. I put the period on that because mm, mm, if that ain't the truth, people that drain you, they gotta go. They gotta go. I don't care if it's friends, family, they got to go. Children, yes, we love our children. We love them. We'll do anything for them. But if they draining you, maybe you need to not necessarily let them go, but you need to put some space. Put some space in between them is all I'm saying, because That energy draining is a silent killer. It is. It is. Let me finish. Let me tell you what else he talked about. So, the way 50 explained it, he was just basically saying if they aren't depositing anything, whew, we about to have church up in here. We about to have church up in here. If they aren't depositing anything, they're depleting you. They're taking things away. So that's what he was saying. That was his analogy of this chapter. He wanted to make it very clear that you need to pay attention to those type of people because they are the very ones that's withdrawing all of your energy. All those people that are sucking you dry of your energy, they're withdrawing it and they're leaving you depleted. And you got to pay attention. You got to know who. You got to know when. You got to know what. You got to know all those key factors. So this was really good. Basically, he just wanted to tell you to protect your space, protect your energy. I had this conversation. If you watch my vlog, I was in the trail talking about writers. 50 is a writer. He writes all those shows that we love. And I was talking about that very thing. Protect your space, protect your energy. Don't let people deplete you of it because they walk away and leave you limp. They walk away strong because they done took everything you had to give and some. Mm-mm. No, no, no. He talked about in this chapter why you oftentimes can't see your hard work come into fruition. You know, we working, and we can't really see it. Part of that reasoning is the quote we just talked about, you know, protecting your space and allowing people in where they shouldn't be. He believed that we were conditioned, and I do too. If we don't see it, we don't believe it. Like oftentimes you'll hear people say, not all, but you'll hear some people say, well, I don't want to get married because I've never seen successful marriages in my family. They don't work. So that's all I know. So I'm not going to get married. It's a conditioning that we as a people have had since slavery days. Oftentimes you just don't believe it because you can't see yourself in it. You just can't. He talked about how that it happens so often that we don't believe. And because we don't believe, we don't work harder. We don't strive to get to that because it's not believable. He used basketball as a reference, but I thought it was a very good analogy. He talked about how when he played basketball, he had the most pleasure from an assist than scoring on his own. That's a prime example of what he's talking about. So, unless you can see yourself in it, you don't believe it. He also had a quote that I thought was interesting, but again, I applied it to me, what I'm in right now. And I'll quote, if someone keeps missing the shot you set them up for, it's not your responsibility to keep feeding it to them. Let me give you his exact quote, and then I'll tell you how I broke it down. Again, related to basketball, says, if someone keeps missing the shot you set them up for, it's not your responsibility to keep giving them the ball. Think about that. So the way I interpret that to mean for me, and I changed it a little bit for me, if someone keeps missing the shot that you set them up for, the someone being me, or it could be you, it's not your responsibility to keep feeding them the information. Okay? Listen for a moment where I'm going with this. So God is giving me a vision to do something, right? And I keep missing it because I'm talking about I ain't got time. I ain't got the money. It's the wrong time. I don't have this. I don't have that. But God is saying, I'm giving you the idea. I'm setting you up for this idea. Do it. And I've missed it. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That ain't God's fault that I keep missing my calling. I truly believe that's what happens. God's setting it all up, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and you making excuses as to why you can't. Not God's fault is all I'm saying. That's the way I took that quote to be for me. Because I've got year after year, idea after idea, and I haven't always jumped on them because I don't have time, or I'm going to wait until this area is clean, or I'm going to wait until I pay off some more debt, or I'm going to wait until, it's always an excuse. You just have to do it. So that was some good inspiration. So there you have it. Great book. Excellent book. So now let's move on to book 2.
To be continued, the mother of Black Hollywood, Jennifer Lewis, Walking in My Joy,